Well guys, welcome to another video. So it's time for my in-depth opinion and review on Fire Emblem Three Houses. So I will be going through everything from characters, story, and how different things work in the game, and frankly, my overall thoughts. So we're going to start with the activities which you can do around the monastery. So of course you start off as you can choose this, either a female or male protagonist whose real name is Byleth, but you can change your name. And you're basically a mercenary who first encounters these three characters, basically when they ask for help from you and your father to defeat some bandits, because you're basically a mercenary. You're then invited back to Garrick Monk Monastery, and then somehow you become a professor, and you can choose one of these houses to teach. Before I get into these, I will go over what you can do at the monastery. So there's four options, also with some, two other options which I'll also discuss. Exploring. So with exploring, of course, you get to explore the monastery. You unlock various parts by doing activities and quests and little missions such as planting some seeds for somebody or finding a lost item. And you can only unlock the third floor after part one ends. Frankly, it's just one. It's just the Archbishop's room and the Goddess's tower, but there's not really much there. My favourite part about this is that you get to spend time with your own students. I'm doing the Blue Eagle route again. Blue Lion. I always mix up with that name. The Blue Lion route again. And also, when you're at a monastery, if you raise your stats enough, you can also recruit other members from various different houses. For example, on my last playthrough, I had recruited every character who could be recruited, which meant I had a lot of backup and a lot of support, and plus a lot of extra content, because each character comes with like their own prologue mission or own support conversations. So support conversations are very good in teaching you about the characters, and frankly, you learn more about them, you learn more about the world which the game is set in. And you can get certain characters up to S rank, and that means at the end you can choose them to marry. For example, on my last playthrough I chose Annette, and I wasn't disappointed. I'm still really attached to her. She's like my favourite female in the game. So that's really the gist of it, like finding lost items, talking to students, and taking part in various activities such as tea, cooking with students, having meals with them, and just faculty training, which raises your stats. And you also have activity points, so you have to be careful, and when you raise your professor level, those points also increase. I think the maximum is 10 because I'm on S rank with my professor rank. And that also leads on to the journal, where you can spend your renown to upgrade all your levels, but you have to reach those levels first through hard work, basically by doing different routes. So I can automatically raise most of my stats to S rank immediately once I restart in the game, which is a massive help. Next step is seminar, so you can do different classes with different students, or different teachers teaching you and other students lessons ranging from magic, authority, sword prowess, anything really. And frankly, you always level up every time you do a seminar, so it is very good to do, even though I don't do it much because I tend to focus on battles to improve my stats. And that leads on to battles. The battle mechanic is basically like a whole turn-by-turn strategy or RPG kind of thing. And the maps can get a bit boring, plus the cutscenes have still photographs and some of them can look pretty bad. But overall, battles are very easy to learn. I love how realistic it is as well, in the fact that that weapons can break, so you have to always keep extra weapons on with you. You can still use broken weapons, but you nearly always miss every attack, which can kill you. And then we have rest. Once you have the sword of the creator, rest is good because all of your character's motivations increase, and motivation is a very important thing. Plus, the sword of the creator repairs itself. The only hero relic where rest can repair it, each other hero's relic. I don't get why they can break, but you need specific materials to fix them, and they are very rare and hard to find. And then there's, of course, certifications where you can level up your characters to different classes, such as Archer or Wyvern Rider. And it can take time to get to master classes, but if you dedicate yourself to it, it is very, very, very rewarding. For example, Felix, in my last run, he became a sword master, and he was extremely good. One of my best units I've ever had. And then, of course, there's Skip, which will just choose other dates randomly and just do random things. I've never done it before, and I don't intend to do it. Of course, when it comes to classes, you can either do manually instruct, which I do sometimes to upgrade a certain skill, but most times I do just auto instruct. So, apart from that, let's move on to graphics and music. First of all, the graphics are perfect. Apart from the backgrounds in the cutscene, well, not in the cutscenes, the dialogue portions, some of them can look really bad. But overall, the graphics in the monastery, cutscenes are visually stunning, and music is just masterpiece. Every song I love, and I've got literally a whole playlist of every song. Kind of sad, I know, but the music is so good. So I want to move on to the houses and their respective characters. So I need to look at this for reference. So let's start with the Black Eagles, who are the guys on top in red. I hope you can see that. So let's start with Edelgard. So Edelgard is the crown princess of the Adrestian Empire and set to be the next emperor. She's rather stubborn, rather straight to the point. And she's not my favourite character, if I'm honest, but she's very, very hard-working, and I do like that about her. Next, we have Hubert. Hubert is dedicated to Edelgard, and frankly, he would do anything to help her achieve her goals, even if it means killing his own friends, which he has said that he would do. And yeah, he's kind of creepy. He's kind of creepy. His voice, everything about him just screams, "Stay away from this guy." You don't really see any kind side to do with him, really, apart from a few times where he actually helps one character overcome like her fear in a way. But even then, she's still terrified of him. Next, we have Ferdinand von Ayer. So Ferdinand is the son of Duke Ayer, who is the Prime Minister of the Adrestian Empire. He thinks he's better than Edelgard in every way, but he does eventually come to understand that his role isn't to beat her, it's to advise her. I quite like Ferdinand. He's a good overall character, makes a very good horse rider as well. Then we have Dorothea, who's actually a commoner. She was a songstress, hate that word with a passion, songstress, at the Mittelfrank Opera Company. So she was basically an opera singer like Manuela, who is one of the teachers at the monastery. She is a commoner. She basically played a noble to let her in, but that's all I really know about her. I don't like her too much, but I will say she has the best mage attacks, and she has very long distance mage attacks. being able to attack somebody who's like 12 squares away is frankly unheard of. Then we have Bernadetta, who's the shyest of them all, I'd say. She's terrified of everybody, and she loves to stay in her room. She's a very good archer, and she didn't really get on with her parents because they didn't like how shy she is and how that she's basically a massive introvert. I love her character though, and all she cares about is like um, animals and cute things. Animals and cute things. Oh, pardon me. Then we have Caspar, who's the second son of a noble, so he has no inheritance. So he's always trying to prove himself. He's a very good axe wielder and a brawler, and he's always raring to go for a fight. I like his character quite a lot, and he does offer great advice, which I have actually followed. So for me to follow a character's advice, that is really good. Then we have Lionheart, who I don't like pre time skip, if I'm honest, but he's very dedicated to his research on crests, which I'll briefly explain now. Crests were bestowed to a few people by the goddess, and they are basically prized among nobles. And if you don't have a crest, you are basically considered as nothing. And if you are in a noble family and you don't have a crest, you are basically kicked out of the family and you're given nothing. This is how Sylvain became his father's favourite son, because his older brother Miklon didn't have a crest, so he was basically booted out the family. But yeah, Lionheart is very intelligent, but he's very lazy, and honestly, he's probably my least favorite character in the game pre time skip. Then we have Petra, who's from the land of Brigid, which isn't part of Foden, which is the main country, and frankly, I love her. I love her character. The whole broken English really sets her as a different character. And she's basically a hostage, but she doesn't see it that way, and she loves to learn from the other students. Now we move on to the Blue Eagles, who are, of course, the ones in Blue Lions, the ones who are in blue. I always say blue Eagles, Blue Lions. Anyway, so we have Dimitri Alexandra Blafid, who's the prince of the Holy Kingdom of Fargus. His parents were killed 4 years ago before you meet him in the game, and so there's very, very evident darkness in his heart. Apart from that, he's a very good overall character. I love his transformation from somebody who's really kind, who has an emotional and mental breakdown and basically turns into a murderous killer, until you meet him again and he eventually learns the mistake of his ways. And he's also a very kind character, especially towards Ash. Wrong way. Next we have Dedu, who was actually born in Dusker, and that's where the tragedy of Dusker happened, and that's where Dimitri lost his parents. Dedu has been by his side for 4 years, as a friend, even though he considers himself more of a bodyguard. Then we have Annette, who's my favourite female in the game. She's obsessed with sweets, and she's a very hard worker, and I just don't know. I just find her bloody adorable. Then we have Mercedes, who's the oldest, oldest student, I should say. It's her aim to become a member of the clergy in the Church of Saros, which is basically the main religion. Saros is actually the Archbishop Rhea, but you do learn about that in the game. But strangely with Mercedes is that she's a noble who became a commoner. How does that happen? Plus she's best friends with Annette, and her brother is actually the Death Knight, and the Death Knight is a major character, who is her brother's name is Emil, but he's known as Yaritza. one of my favorite characters when you can play him, but I will explain how you do that. Next we have Felix Hugo Darius. So Felix hates Dimitri because Felix's brother Glenn was killed while saving Dimitri's life. So he calls Felix calls Dimitri a wild boar, and he also sees the darkness inside him. I just like Felix. He's probably my favourite male in the game. Very cold, very stern, but I love his voice, his character. It works perfectly. Then we have Sylvain, who's basically a skirt chaser, aka player who chases after girls. Of course, I did mention his older brother Miklon was born without a crest, which is quite unfortunate that crests play such a massive role within the nobility, and that's all I can really say for Sylvain. He makes a very good cavalier, and he's a very nice person, but most of his conversations revolve around women, which gets kind of cringy. Next, we have Ash. So, of course, Dimitri's very nice towards Ash. Ash was adopted with his siblings by Lord Leonardo, and Ash was actually a commoner. The sad thing is that you actually have to go against Lord Leonardo because he goes against the Church of Saros, and basically in those days, if you went against the church, you were basically classed as a heretic and you were killed. So, sad for me, on my current playthrough of the Blue Lions, I actually had Ash kill Leonardo. Wish I never did that, if I'm honest. Then we have Ingrid, who's quite a cold, stern character, who makes a very good Wyvern or Pegasus rider, also Cavalier. She's a childhood friend of, I believe it was Felix and Sylvana and Dimitri. They were all good friends growing up. And she's always trying to change Sylvain even though he won't listen to her. And she's very stern about not accepting marriage proposals, even though she also believes it's in her right to do so. Not for her own sake, but for her own family. So we move on to the Golden Deer now, the ones in the bottom. So let's start with Claude von Regan. So Claude is the adopted... I'm not sure. He's either adopted or he's like an adopted child or something, but Claude, he's not actually from Folan. He's actually an Almiran, and Almirans are actually classed as an enemy. But since he's the grandson of the most powerful duke in the last Leicester Alliance, they have no king. He's pretty important. He's a master tactician. His tactics are really good, and he's kind of a flirtatious character, but honestly, he's one of my favourites. Next we have Lorenz Hellman Gloucester, Mr. Cringy Psychopath. So Lorenz is all about nobility is the finest. I must have the most perfect tea. I'm just like, And things like, why do girls stay away from me? I am the heir of House Gloucester, the most perfect house in the land. I am the one who will change Folan for the good, for the better. I'm like, so look, Lorenz, you're cringe, especially before the time skip, but strangely enough, he's one of my favorite characters. And he's actually all about helping people, which isn't very evident at first, because in a way he's like Sylvain, who goes after women, but he's just that all poshy kind of person. Hello, just mega posh, thinking that his status means everything. Then we have Hilda and Raphael. So Hilda, I don't like her. Hands down, I don't like her. She's the sort of character who's like, I must have the most fancy everything. I must have the most expensive this, expensive that. I have to have the best makeup to look as amazing as I can. And then she makes people do her chores. So she has like no skills or life skills or anything because she's basically an even bigger spoiled brat than Van Lorenz. Her character does get better, but she's still my least favourite character in the student area anyway. Raphael, he's a commoner, the son of a merchant family. His parents were actually killed, so his grandfather, and his sister helped him get into the academy by selling all of their possessions. Very nice of them, if I'm honest. He's one of the kindest people in the game, and frankly, all he cares about is training his muscles and food. Then we have Ignatz, who's also a childhood friend of Raphael. However, Ignatz blames himself for his parents' deaths because Ignatz's parents were meant to go on this merchant trip, but they recommended Raphael's parents and they died. But Raphael doesn't blame Ignatz or his parents, and Ignatz is, like he says, I'm training to become a knight. But in reality, all he wants to do is paint, and frankly, of course, you don't actually see any of his work, but from what you hear in the dialogue, he's an amazing painter. Then you have Marianne, who's very shy, doesn't really speak, and she talks more to animals. The sad thing about Marianne is that if you don't join the Golden Deer or you don't recruit her, she will actually commit suicide because she feels that she doesn't have any worth to anybody. She has the crest of Maurice. She believes that she's been bestowed with bad luck, but in reality, it's just how she's acting, even though after defeating this massive creature, which is apparently the original Maurice, who apparently turned into a massive beast, she feels like that she's free of her burden and really opens up. She's one of my favorite characters. Then we have Lysithea and Leone. So Lysithea I don't like very much. She's grumpy, not the nicest character. She's the youngest at the age of 15, and she hates being treated like a child. She's insanely smart and she's very good at a magic. Oh, my brain today. But that's really her only mitigating benefits, and that the fact that she has two crests. Her backstory is dark because she was actually experimented on by the ones who sliver in the dark. Then you have Leone, who rambles about your father, Gerald, the Blade Breaker. She's like, Gerald wants me to do this, Gerald wants me to do that, and it seems like all she wants to do is just, be with Gerald. It's cringe, and I don't like her at all. So that's that done, and last part I'm going to go over is the stories. So just as a little basis, 3 out of the 4 stories, yes, I said 4, you have to be Edelgard. So with the blue lines, Edelgard is the final boss. First time I tried it, I couldn't do it for the longest time, but now I know how the level works. I'll be able to do it on my second, third attempt easy. Kind of a hard battle, very sad cutscene at the end. Overall, a very good route. The Golden Deer route is my favourite route. Of course, you have to go against Edelgard again, but she's a lot easier. This is because you have to go against the ancient king Nemesis, who went against Seiros in the year 91. He is quite misunderstood. The church claims that he was evil, going around killing people with the sword of the creator. But apparently it was just one little dispute, and the then new church overreacted and proclaimed him as an enemy, so he had no choice to fight. So he basically gets awakened by the ones who slither in the dark, and he comes back wanting to kill everybody. So kind of sad, but it is my favourite route based on the main story. Then we have the Black Eagles route. I really hope I said blue and lions before, but anyway, the Black Eagles route, the main route is good. You have to go against Edelgard again. I wish they could change that up a bit. But that isn't the final boss. After saving Rhea, the Archbishop, she turns into her true form, the Immaculate One, a giant dragon with like loads of lives, and basically Setef, who's her like right-handed advisor, is like, "Damn it, we have to kill Rhea," and everybody's like, "What? we just saved her life." Very hard battle. You have to defeat 6 dragons before you can even harm her, which is kind of difficult, if I'm honest. Very hard battle, but well worth playing. Then we have the secret route of the Black Eagles, where you can actually join Edelgard against the church. This, however, has my saddest moment in the whole thing. So, of course, Setef and Flane, who's actually Setef's daughter, they are the Saints Keyhole and Cephaline, by the way. Basically, you can actually kill Flane, and when you do kill Flane, Setef's pure pain. He's like, "No, please, Flane, no, no," just like in the most broken, shattered voice, which made me just stop in pure shock. The emotion which the voice actor put across made me cry. And then you actually can kill Setef afterwards. You can actually let them live and they go into hiding, but I didn't know this at the time. But that scene still really haunts me, if I'm honest, because that made me so really upset. The ending of this, of course, you have to go against Rhea anyway, but that was surprisingly easy. First time I didn't do it, second time I did it. So, yeah. Overall, here's my rating. This game, so Smash Bros would be about a 9 out of 10, being brought down a bit by the shockingly bad online service. But this is a 10 out of 10. I like this game better than Smash Bros. That's a lot, but this game is my favourite game of all time. It's also my favourite game on the Switch, hands down. So quick shout out to Flynn, aka Ashamed Dragon. Please go subscribe to him for recommending me this game. This game. My brain is so dead today. I apologise. But yeah, 10 out of 10. Definitely playing it through again because, of course, I have restarted the Blue Lions route. I didn't say Eagles this time. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.